Good morning, everybody. Craig DeLeo here, and I want to talk about, where I see politics again. Now, I'm talking predominantly about Georgia politics because this is where I'm at, this is where I'm running, and this is where I care about. So know that I'm talking about Georgia. I'm not talking about California or New York or other parts of the country. And I do recognize that things are a little bit different in different parts of the country. But I'm trying to understand things because I do talk to Republicans, I do talk to Democrats, I do talk to both sides, and I'm trying to understand things. But one of the things I've noticed, being that, Gen X millennial cusp, I'm one of those people that fall in that gap. But one of the things I've noticed, and I'm not trying to dog on the boomer generation, and I'm not necessarily trying to be harsh on these people, but one of the things I've noticed more and more as I've talked to people, especially these older generations that are the mass majority of our political leaders, and noticing some of the legislation as I look more and more at this legislation and reading some of this legislation, and specifically here in Georgia, where we are predominantly a Republican, and we're not necessarily a conservative state, but we are a more conservative state. We're a Republican-run state. Paying attention to some of our bills. Now, one of the things I've noticed, and to me, this is where the Republicans are starting to deviate from what I consider a core belief of the Republican Party is people have the right to do what they want. Now, and government knows best, and government should only be interceding where there's a issue where the public isn't being cared for. Now, this is where the discussion comes into play. Now, and there's been a lot of, things like the work requirement right now trying to be passed in the big beautiful bill for a lot of our social programs. Now, we tried it here in Georgia. We know it doesn't work. It actually creates more overhead and creates more complications to the system than it does success. Now, do I believe that there should be some sort of work requirement? There should be. Absolutely. But the problem is we tried it here in Georgia and we know it doesn't work. So why are we trying to do it at the federal level? We're ignoring things. And I see that there's a lot of this, the Republican Party, as it's aging, is falling into a lot of the traps that I've watched because I've got two boomer parents, have fallen into this we know best mentality. And the problem is this is wrong. This mentality in government, in my opinion, is very, very, very wrong. And this is where I'm at. And this is something I think the Republican Party is falling into a trap of, is the fact of we as government, we as the leaders know better than you as the individual. And this is something I've come into the belief of, is the fact of this is mentality of we as government should be telling you what to do on an everyday basis is wrong. And this is the key. This is something I've been seeing more and more. And I'm like, this mentality is wrong because we are not in the place of telling people what to do. We need to let people grow and learn, hey, this, and show people the facts and let people make these decisions for themselves so that they can grow and learn and develop themselves. And I think this is very much with a failure of, and again, I'm going to dog on the boomer generation. They're very much trying to control the millennials and the generations after millennials, showing them, don't do this, it's wrong, and plating rules. And the problem is no, they need to learn and grow and they need to make mistakes. We just need to keep it under control. And this is where a lot of the pushback for defund the police, this, that, and the other things. Social programs are great. And I recognize where the issue is. It's trying to figure out, and in government, figuring out how to bring back the government so that government should only be interceding where there's a issue where society is creating a problem. And this is what our founding fathers really wanted at the federal level. The federal government was supposed to be very small and just supposed to be interceding where there was a social issue. So, and I think this is a failure where, and again, I'm going to point out to my young people, my Gen Xers and younger, this is why I push at you guys to where you need to get out and vote. And we need to make effective change. So this is my answer is we want to make things better. Congratulations. This is where we need to have that generational pushback saying, hey guys, no, we're going to take care of you. We're going to keep things in mind for you guys. We need to keep you guys taken care of because you are the generation responsible for raising us. But it's time that we took the reins. You guys need to sit down. You guys need to step away, because things like some of the things we're trying to do with AI and the internet and technology, I watch it with my own mother. She is absolutely at a loss with technology. And I'm like, and I'm watching some of the bills when we're trying to control access to things on the internet. How the heck are we supposed to do that? That's not feasible. First, let's build a framework of what we want to prevent. Let's figure out a way to actually do it. And then let's make a law that actually makes sense instead of just a law that's absolutely irrational. And again, this is where we need to have that discussion. So again, I love you all. I love all my shipmates, and have a great day.